Bonjour. Today we're going to talk about the present tense conjugations of two verbs, savoir and connaître. They are two verbs in French that both mean to know, and we use them in different situations. Let's start with the conjugations in the present tense. If you're taking notes, these verbs both mean to know, and here are their conjugations. We have je sais, tu sais, il and elle sait, nous savons, vous savez, ils, elles savent. So you'll notice some familiar endings over here, ONS, EZ, ENT. Remember, we don't pronounce that ENT there, it's just sav. So this E makes us pronounce this V here. These sound the same. Je sais, tu sais, il, elle, sait. Because obviously the S and the T are silent, so they're going to sound the same. So you may have already encountered this phrase, je sais or je ne sais pas, I don't know, or possibly not. It's okay. Then we have the verb connaître. Je connais, tu connais, il and elle connaît. Here, notice that the accent here that's in the infinitive pops up in the il and elle form. Nous connaissons, vous connaissez, and il and elle connaissent. So notice again we have our regular endings that we're familiar with, ONS, EZ, and ENT, but we do have a little change from the singular side where we have this double S. So let's talk about how we use these verbs. Use savoir to indicate that you know facts or information. So here are some examples. Tu sais à quelle heure le concert commence? Do you know what time the concert starts or begins? Tu sais le numéro de téléphone de Philippe? Do you know Philippe's phone number? So again, these are basic information questions that we're asking if people know. We can also use savoir plus another verb in the infinitive, which means that it's not conjugated, to indicate that you know how to do something. So I could ask, tu sais danser le tango? Do you know how to dance the tango? Il ne sait pas nager. He doesn't know how to swim. And if I wanted, obviously, to say that he does know how, I would just remove this ne pas, because remember, ne pas is what makes our sentence negative. All right, connaître, we are going to use that means to know in the sense of being familiar with or acquainted with something. So, je connais bien Paris. I know Paris well. I myself have been to Paris several times, so I could tell someone, je connais bien Paris, because I could probably pull out a map and show them how to get places and give them some good recommendations of places to visit. Tu connais les Beatles? Are you familiar with or do you know the Beatles? Do you know of this group? Obviously, when I ask you, do you know the Beatles, I don't mean do you personally know them. It's not very likely that you know them personally, but do you know of them? Same with any other celebrity or thing like that. But obviously, we're going to use them with people, whether we know them personally or not. So here are some compare and contrast type sentences that to let you see a little bit more about how savoir and connaître are used. Je sais comment elle s'appelle. I know what her name is. Think about someone's name being like a fact about that person. Natalie. Je connais bien Nathalie. I know Natalie well. So here, imagine maybe Natalie is someone who works at Subway where you often buy lunch. You could say, je sais comment elle s'appelle. Elle s'appelle Natalie. I know what her name is. You know, the girl that waits on me and makes my sandwich. But maybe Natalie is changed situations. Natalie is your friend. You know her well, or she's a classmate and you know her well. Je connais bien Nathalie. So this first one is just sort of information about Natalie. We're saying that's her name. Second one implies that you know her. Je sais où elle habite. À Grenoble. So now we've got some more information about Natalie. I know where she lives. À Grenoble. Grenoble is a town near the French Alps. Je connais bien Grenoble. Je connais bien Grenoble would imply that you know the town. So you've probably been there, maybe you lived there for a while, or visited, you know. Je sais le nom de l'auteur. I know the name of this author, Victor Hugo. Je connais son œuvre. Son œuvre here is like his works. If we're talking about, an author or a musician, we can talk about their collected works by using this French word œuvre. So, I know the name of this author. He's Victor Hugo. And if you know Les Mis, Les Miserables, um, that's one of his famous works. Another thing that he wrote was Notre Dame de Paris. Um, so, if you know the story, we would call it the Hunchback of Notre Dame in English. He wrote that story as well, and many, many more. So here are some sentences, questions, and statements where we need to decide which form of the verb belongs in the blank. So first of all, you're obviously going to know from your endings which ones go with the various subjects because you're good at matching those up by now. But you also have to look at the meaning of the sentence and decide, is it going to be savoir, a form of savoir that matches your subject? Because we're looking at a piece of information or a fact? Or are you going to use the verb connaître because you have a name of a person or a place? Another thing to keep in mind is we use savoir plus another verb to say that someone knows how to do something. Excuse me. So now would be a great time to pause the video and see if you can identify the verbs that belong in each blank. And so pause now, take a moment to do a little practice, and then I will help you talk you through the answers. Okay, so I have placed each answer in the blank. So here I have, tu sais la capitale de la Suisse? Do you know the capital of Switzerland? So I'm basically asking, do you know this fact? Vous connaissez Danielle? Do you all know Danielle? Elle ne sait pas cuisiner. She doesn't know how to cook. Remember, if we have savoir plus an infinitive verb, which means my verb that's not conjugated, that is going to tell us that someone knows how or doesn't know how to. Nous savons parler français. So these two are the exact same type of sentence. We've got an infinitive verb. So we know how to speak French. Je connais Paris. I know Paris. Il connaît mon père. We don't know who this il is, but here's a person that knows my dad. Ils savent l'adresse du cinéma. So think about the movie theater. The address of the movie theater is just sort of a fact or piece of information about the movie theater that's obviously important if you want to go watch a movie. So savoir is how we tell that we know that fact about it. So please don't hesitate to contact me if you are having any trouble with memorizing the conjugations or figuring out which one of these verbs to use. You'll have an additional practice activity as well. Bonne journée!